Another tricky type of question deals with age, because we forget about adding ages or subtracting ages depending on how the years flow. So let's go through this example. It says David is twice as old as his daughter. In 4 years, David's age will be 3 times what his daughter's age was 6 years ago. How old are they now? Whew, that's a scary one. Once again, let's start off by defining our variables. What are they going to represent? So let's see, we're trying to find David's age and his daughter's age. Well, this is kind of bumming because David and daughter both start with D. I don't want to do that to myself and confuse myself. So I'm going to say let D equal David's age. And it's David the dad. So David's age. And then since the daughter is a girl, I'm going to say let G equal the girl's age. Okay, so what do we know about their ages? Well, right now, David is twice as old as his daughter. Now, we can start translating this almost verbatim. We have David, which we don't know, so we can call that D. Is, in Mathland, usually translates to the equal sign. So we're going to say is, and then it says twice as old. Twice as old means that we're doing a doubling or taking 2 times. So it's 2 times the girl's age. Now, if you get a little bit confused on this as to where the 2 goes, stop and think about it. Who's older? Well, obviously the dad's older than the girl. So plug in numbers. If the girl was 5, oh, 5 times 2. Yeah, okay, David would be 10. He'd be older, twice as much. Okay? If you had flipped it around and put the 2 by the D instead, suddenly you'd have the girl, the daughter, being older than the dad. Okay? So that's a good way of doing a check, just to say, does this make sense? Okay? All right, so now we go on. And it says, in 4 years, David's age. Now, wait a second. David's age, the DU that we have, represents David's age now. Now, how old is he going to be in 4 years? Well, 4 years older. Okay, well, that would be represented by saying that he would be D, whatever his age is now, plus those 4 years. That's how old David's going to be in 4 years. Okay, so it says in 4 years, David's age will be is another way of saying is. It's just in the future tense. Will be, so that's equals 3 times, so we know that that's 3 times, means multiplication. But what are we multiplying? We're multiplying what his daughter's age was 6 years ago. Once again, we have the daughter's age now. How old was she 6 years before? Well, we don't know how old she is now, so it's harder to find out how old she was 6 years ago. But just like we did with the father, we can set that up and say, okay, no, that's going to be G minus 6. Now, be careful, though, because of what is this worded? It says, David's age will be 3 times what his daughter's age was, which means we have to find out the daughter's age first. In order to do that first, the only way that we can do subtraction before multiplication is if it's in parentheses. So G minus 6 represents the girl's age 6 years ago, and then whatever that is, we take it times 3, and that is David's age in 4 years from now. Whew. Let's clean that second one up. Use our good old distributive property. And then I would probably get my like terms together. I think I'll subtract 4. And it wasn't very nice of me to put the 4 there. Should have moved it over a little. Alright, so now what do we have? Oh, we have craziness. Wait, I thought in all of our other problems we had to have our variables on the same side of the equal sign so that we could solve it. Well, wait a second. Let's think about this. We know that D is the same thing as 2 times G. We also know that D is the same thing as 3G minus 22. This is kind of a philosophy statement. If D equals this and D equals that, what can we say about this and that? If D is equal to this stuff and at the same time D is equal to this other stuff, what can we say about the two piles of stuff? They have to equal each other. Essentially, this is your substitution method. D is equal to 2G. Wherever there is a D, I'm replacing it with 2G. Because logically, if D is equal to this stuff and D is equal to that, they have to be equal to each other. So let's see if I can pause. Alright, so setting them equal to each other gives me 2G is equal to 3G minus 22. Now here's an equation that we can solve. Get your variable terms on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 3G. 2 minus 3 is going to be a negative 1G or negative G. Don't lose the negative in front of the 22. So negative G is going to be equal to a negative 22. Well, that just means that there's a negative 1 here, so I divide both sides by a negative 1. And I get G is equal to 22. So the girl's age is 22 right now because that's what G stood for, was her age now. How can we find out her dad's age? Well, if you recall in that first equation, his age was twice hers. So David's age is 2 times 22, which is 44. So David is 44 years old, and the girl or the daughter is 22 right now. Feel free to go through and check. In 4 years, David would be 48. Is that 3 times her age 6 years ago? Well, if the girl or the daughter is 22 now, how old was she 6 years ago? 16. What's 3 times 16? Booyah! And it checks out. Slow yourself down and use a combination of the procedures that we're doing and common sense.